So it's important to realize that Jeff Hafley, the old coach at Boston College, who left Boston College to be the defensive coordinator at Green Bay for some fucking reason, was getting paid $3.4 million. Okay? And Bill O'Brien, while a Houston Texan head coach, now I don't know his GM money, was getting paid $3 million. So the assumption is Bill O'Brien probably costs more than Jeff Hafley. So I hate to admit it. I hate it. I hate it so much. But Al was correct. And if you don't know what the hell we're talking about, go listen to the college week 4 preview because it's really important to this conversation. This is a very important conversation we're having.
It's intense.
But it is the College 5 week preview. We've got a lot of good games to go over. There's some fun ones. I mean, can you get more exciting than Georgia, Alabama? 2-4, going to 4, 2.5 point spread. Ooh, boy. I'm excited about it. But before we do anything, I got Al to the left of me, Andy to the far left. Let's drink some beer.
Wow. Feels like those roles should be switched. So some might say that Bill O'Brien's $5 million contract at BC is a smoking gun. And if you would call that a smoking gun, I would say that we've got a little bit of a Zapruder film on our hands here. I'm going to file this one away in my archives so that I always have it on record.
Okay.
That's all. I'm right.
You were right.
You were
correct. A lot of big games coming up this week. Let's keep it cut and dry. Let's talk about the games we're most excited about. I got a list of like 8 games I'm intrigued by, but I'm not going to start with Al. I'm going to start it off with Andy. Andy, what are you most interested to watch this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to be self-serving this week, and I'm going to pick my own team. We're ranked again. We're playing another ranked matchup. We're probably going to lose, and good chance we drop out of the top 25 after this, so I'm going to enjoy it while I can. Illinois at Penn State. That's the game I'm most excited for.
What time's that one kick off? Do you know yet?
I think it's like a 7 o'clock.
Ooh, okay.
Little split screen action. You can
Big
put
boy
that in
time
the small
window.
screen, Florida State SMU in the middle, because that's going to be the most important one. No,
Is there going to be a whiteout in at Penn State?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's always a whiteout.
I'll look that up while you guys
pull out all the stops when you got the big boys like Illinois coming to town.
I will say if Illinois plays this game tighter than the spread indicates, because what is it, 14 right now? 18?
17. Yeah.
17.5.
You guys make it a 10-point game. I think you could stay in the top 25. I don't think there's any shame in losing to Penn State. Because they're good. They're a good team.
If we look competitive, if we look like we belong on the same field with them, if they just, roll us like BYU did to Kansas State,
I don't think that's going to be the situation. I'm really intrigued by that game. Do you have a lean on that? I know we don't normally talk picks, but are you leaning Illinois for with heart or?
Yeah, I'm not betting it, but if I had to make a pick, I think I'd go Illinois plus the 17.
I think I would too.
But
yeah, it's an interesting one. Al, I'm going to go next because you've got the big game. I am going to talk Kansas State, Oklahoma State. Look, both teams were kind of embarrassed last week. Fucking Utah, that lying bastard Uncle Kyle. He's like your uncle who lies to you all the time, which all uncles do, because they said Cam Rising was going to play. And the spread started going the wrong direction from that, but he still said that Cam Rising is most likely going to play. Cam Rising did not play that shit. Cam Rising needs to stop playing college football because this is the second straight year where he's supposed to play and he hasn't played. But Utah, it just does what Utah does, and they win. They win all the time. They got so Kansas State going into Oklahoma State. Correct me if I'm wrong there, if it's the other way around, but Kansas State goes on the road and loses to BYU in embarrassing fashion. So these are two teams that were expected to contend in the Big 12. This is a loser leaves town kind of game. Whoever loses this game is most likely out of the Big 12 title. If Utah keeps rolling, the winner stays very much alive. and I'm really excited to see what the result is. It's like it's the Big Fox noon game, so it'll be nice early. You'll have your coffee in you. Probably did some chores, and now you're going to watch a little bit of Big 12 football, baby.
Oh, you know what? That just totally reminded me of the Gus Johnson theory.
Oh, yes. Can you
So
explain
you said
this?
OK State, K-State is the big noon Saturday game?
I think
Yep.
so, but let me go.
Okay, then that reaffirms my OK State bet. So the theory is that they put the game with the underdog that's most likely to win outright on Gus Johnson's plate every Saturday, because they want Gus Johnson screaming out the the quotable plays and the big games. I haven't paid attention this year, but I think last year it was something like better than 500 that the dogs on his games won outright, which is obviously not a very common
Spectacular.
thing to happen. So
Yeah.
that's So OK State, that's a good bet.
Do you think Gus Johnson yells like that whenever he's excited, or is it only safe for football? Like
I
For his
if he
lover's
gets-
sake, I hope not.
If he's
Oh,
drunk, I bet he
I
does.
hope so.
Like he's taking a leak in a urinal, like one-eyed
Don't
pirate.
stream.
Yeah. Willie beat the flush.
Because he's just he's great. I love listening to Gus Johnson do it, but
Yeah.
he can't do that. Like he can't be clipping coupons and then all of a sudden he gets the 2-for-1 he's been looking for, and he's just like sale on aisle 5, just like some random shit in your ear. And so the volume is way too high on Gus Johnson's game. But
Yeah, it's like Dick Vitale, but less annoying.
that's true. Al, what is your top matchup of the week?
Yeah, you ever heard of this little team called Georgia?
Hmm.
They I think they were at least competitive for a couple of years there. How about Alabama? Does that ring any bells?
No,
Hmm.
I don't know that.
I know
Okay.
South Alabama.
Well,
the
so
Panthers.
down in the South, in the little old town of Tuscaloosa, it's a matchup that the people there are going to be going nuts over. No, Georgia, Bama this week. You got number 2 in the country host or at number 4. Obviously, I think most people would agree that Bama is not. The expectations are lower for Bama this year than ever before. Obviously, with Nick Saban having retired. And Georgia's in a spot where it seems like the SEC is theirs for the taking, and essentially their bye is already secured for the playoffs, right? This is not going to be an easy one for Georgia to go into Tuscaloosa and win this game. First off, I think it's an underrated move hiring Washington's coach to replace Saban, Kalen DeBoer. They still have all that 5-star talent. And, they've got Bama's always been really good at stopping the run. Georgia is pretty much their offense is predicated on establishing the run. So that's going to be the main thing to watch in this one is if Georgia can run it on the ground. And if they can't, if Carson Beck can put the team on his shoulders. So I'm excited to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer is a mastermind when it comes to drawing up wins and plays that win from the offensive perspective. We joked about this earlier in week 1 when Jalen Milroe went 7 for 9 for 200 yards passing or whatever and 3 touchdowns. Dude's really good at drawing plays in the sand, right? He's really good at like, hey, X does this. Granted, of course I'm going to be excited. This is the big game of the week. So
yeah,
I don't know what will come of it. Will Georgia be able to establish the pass? Right? Can they pass? Can the QB, I can't think of his name, is escaping me right now. Can he
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck establish the pass without his safety blankets? Can he pass on the money downs? Because you're not going to be able to run on the money downs, especially if they're more than 2 or 3. So if he can do that, I think Georgia will win. Georgia's defense is elite. They are crazy good. But can you score enough points? Can you get to 30 points?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Obviously, this is a huge game. The one thing that Al said that I don't agree with is clear path to the bye and the SEC championship. I think Texas might have something to say about that.
I keep
Number
forgetting
one
Texas
team?
is SEC. Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep an eye out for them in your rearview mirror. Their backup quarterback is better than most teams' starting quarterback. So
Quinn Ewers.
Well, I mean, when Quinn Ewers went down, they brought Arch Manning in.
Yeah, he might stay down.
Arch Manning.
Thank you for the SEO. Thank you for doing that. That's exactly what you should do. Arch Manning, Arch Manning. No, that's it's a game of the week. And don't forget about Tennessee either, the little team from Rocky Top.
Yeah.
They're looking mighty fine. Actually, the SEC, there's clearly an SEC bias in the world, but
I don't know if 12-team playoff is enough
earned
to get all the teams in the SEC in.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tight.
Vandy looked good.
If Vandy's playing out of their minds, I think we can all say Mississippi State will not make the playoffs.
Have you all been looking at people's
Florida.
playoff predictors and predictions each week? It consistently has 6 SEC schools and 3 Big Ten schools, and then 1 school each from the ACC, the Big 12, and whoever is the 5th conference champ.
I think that's what Matt tried to tell us that before the season.
Yeah,
and I wasn't buying it. I didn't think they'd put in that many.
I hate it.
SEC
I hate it
Yeah.
a lot.
It sounds like I've said that shit for a fucking while.
They should cap it. They should cap it at 4 teams per conference. You can't have more than 4 teams from a conference.
So looking at the college football predictor, or what the ESPN one, Miami is in 7th at 69%. Nice job, by the way, to make the playoffs. Then the next option is Notre Dame at 11th at 36%. And then UCF tied there at 36% as the likely teams to make the playoffs. The UCF one is crazy. I was shocked when I just saw what I saw. But yes, everyone else is in the Big Ten or the SEC, which is a freaking problem as far as the layout is. And everyone's like, well, why is Florida State making a stink? Why is Clemson making a stink? This is why they're making a stink. This is exactly why. Because they're getting double the money. They're going to have all the power. It sucks.
Yeah. You can go 8-4 in your conference and make the playoffs because of the conference you're in.
Yeah.
Matt, what website did you find that on? Was it the Coley Matrix?
The Coley metric. Yeah. UCF is actually the most likely to win the playoffs this year. Even if they lose, they automatically get the number 1
somehow.
spot.
That's shocking.
Who would have guessed? Interestingly enough, Indiana is
That's a deep cut
on this chart at 27%, which I don't know what the hell that is. Clearly, these numbers may be bad, but there's some interesting teams on here. Anywho, some other Georgia Alabama is a game to watch. Don't like Illinois Penn State could be super interesting. Watch it in the small TV. Big TV's Georgia Alabama. Some other games I'd like to talk to you guys about. I don't know what to say about either of these teams, and I want that on the front end. Auburn hosted Cal, lost to Cal. Auburn has Hugh Freeze as a coach, and he kind of looks lost at sea right now. They lost to Arkansas this weekend, right? Arkansas went in there. I don't know what to make of Auburn, and I believe they're the favorite against Oklahoma. I could be wrong about that. I know these numbers have been moving a lot, but Auburn, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has looked bad in wins, and they looked really bad last week. So I don't know if you guys have thoughts on Oklahoma, Auburn. I think Oklahoma's a 2.5 point favorite is how it opened, right? Is it still a 2.5?
I'm seeing 3s, but yeah, it's just right around there.
Preseason, you would laugh at that number, and you would have scooped up all the Oklahoma 2.5 you could have. And Auburn's been bad. They lost to Arkansas. I don't know what to make of any of this. I don't know if you guys have a thought. I can take it from here.
I have a play on it, but I don't like it. Yeah, I hate it, but
What play do you have on it, Al?
I'm on Oklahoma.
It's definitely interesting.
It feels like the only play to make to me. Auburn, I can't trust that Auburn team. I cannot, even if it's on the plains.
Yeah,
it also feels bad laying him out, but
Auburn's feels terrible. Good. And this is like a gluttony of punishment that I just put this on here. I just think the game could be super interesting. That game is at 3:40. I don't know what channel it's on. The CW, maybe. I don't know what the hell the 3:40 game of the week is.
If you can find Oklahoma 2.5, take it.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, Oklahoma is far more talented. Auburn should be coming, right?
I actually have plays on all these games. Now that I'm looking at it,
we could talk about it a little bit. We can talk about it a little bit deeper. That's the whiskey. We can talk about it a little bit deeper as we go on, for sure. But I just think it's a fascinating matchup because one of them has to win, right? Oklahoma is 3-1, but Auburn, they just haven't looked good in any capacity.
Yeah.
Next game I want to talk about is Louisville Notre Dame. Louisville's looked really good. They covered the spread against the Georgia Tech team that was like a double-digit spread, and they covered it barely, right? But Louisville, with Tyler Shuck, has looked like a formidable offense. Braum is a really good coach of offense. And they're doing enough on defense to keep themselves above board. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, then absolutely punished Purdue for existing, and then they had a bye. Notre Dame, I think, is a 6-point favorite. I'm going to keep saying numbers. Please correct me, Andy, if you see that number. But I think it's a fascinating game because on a neutral, I kind of like Louisville, right? I think they're super talented on offense, but the Notre Dame defense is really good. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on anything I'm saying.
Yeah, I think take the points.
Take the points with Louisville. I like it. Andy, you going to fire back?
I would actually go the other way. I'm not officially on it, but so it's not officially a fight. But yeah, I would go the other way. I think Notre Dame woke up after they got beat by Northern Illinois, and they're not going to let something like that happen again.
Yeah, not too many teams can hang 28 points on Miami, Ohio. They definitely have their shit together. That's for sure. No, yeah, I mean, I'm not laying points with Notre Dame no matter where they're playing. Until they've got a new coach or a new quarterback, I guess. I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this game. This is gonna be like main screen viewing outside of Auburn, Oklahoma, just because I want to learn. I feel like I'm so uneducated in something, and I'm gonna watch that to like learn about these two schools and figure out what the fuck I'm gonna bet in the future because there's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot to unpack from that both of those games as far as my future betting for sure. Bounce House, Orlando, Florida, Coley Matrix, all that shit, hosting Coach Prime. Coach Prime, black and gold versus black and gold. The line was shocking to me when I saw this. I saw that UCF opened as an 11-point favorite, and that shit ballooned to 14. And I think it is 14 still you can get. I don't know if there's anything better. UCF, Gus Malzahn, gonna run the ball. Colorado stinks at stopping the run. If you guys haven't watched RJ Harvey run the ball yet, please do. He's probably one of the top running backs in the country. He's freaking great. And if you give Gus Malzahn some wiggle room and a great running quarterback and a great running back, he's going to torture you in the slowest way he can. You got Prime coming off a big win. Is there some vibes coming into this, Shedeur Sanders? I don't know. Like I said, it's a fascinating matchup. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this, but that number feels mighty big. That number, the total is at 63. I could see that going way over or way under, and I have no dog in any of it except
Matt, let me posit it this way, okay? What would you set the line at for UCF at home against Baylor?
UCF at home against Baylor, I would make. Oh, don't you transitive me?
Yeah, because I'm gonna lay it with UCF here.
Yeah, it feels like a lot, but it also feels right because UCF's defense isn't great. But you just got to defend the pass, and they're really great at it. I understand that. Like, it's not that simple. But Colorado has so many flaws outside of their passing game offense. And just don't throw it at Travis Hunter. Throw it.
I mean, even if like Shedeur Sanders plays perfect, that's a lot to require. of your most important player week in, week out, just to cover a spread, So I think they were lucky to get out of their game last week with a W. So it's a bit of a letdown spot, kind of emotional reassessment.
But was anyone shocked by 14? Just feels like a big number. I know UCF's 4-0. I get it. I get Gus Malzahn too. I just was shocked when I saw the number. And I'm not saying it's wrong, but it just felt big.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of room for that Colorado backdoor, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I figured
I think it's a strain of weed in Denver.
The Colorado backdoor?
Yeah, Colorado backdoor.
What would the number have been if they don't complete that Hail Mary and come back? Would it have been even bigger?
I can't imagine it being bigger than 14.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the actual end result mattered in the line moving the way it did. I think whether that ball was caught or not, I think people kind of saw what they needed to out of Colorado.
Fair. Yeah. I do have a play on this game, but we'll tease that for the article. Go check out singlelegparlay.com.
Oh yeah, I love that. No, the numbers I kind of trust on this only have UCF as like a 8-point favorite. Now there's home value and all that stuff, but it's interesting, right? I just don't know what to make of it. Final game. I'm going to clear the hell out. I'm just going to say the name of the game, and I want Al to go. We got Miami on Friday night. They're playing host to Virginia Tech. I think the spread is 18.5, somewhere around there. Al,
19's out there.
19, damn. This was considered one of the biggest home games of the year for Miami. The spread is ballooned. Virginia Tech losing to Vanderbilt, losing to Rutgers. Terrible combination. But Al, how do we feel?
Yeah, so I think this line has moved like more than 5 points. It's come back a little bit, so maybe like right around 5 points. And I thought that's probably a little too much movement to where the value's probably swung the other way. So I actually like Virginia Tech to cover in this one. And I don't know if I would tail me on that, only because I can't tell if it's partially emotional or if it's just purely like they're I don't know. Miami loves to get in its own way. Virginia Tech, while they haven't looked very good so far this year, they're supposed to be good. They're gonna figure it out, right? Miami kind of struggled with USF for half of a game before they figured things out. I think when Miami has that happen, they're not always going to be able to respond as well as they did in the second half. Yeah, that's it. I just this is one of, I think, 2 or 3 remaining games where I think it's really like an actual test for Miami, because Miami hasn't really played anyone outside of Florida, and Florida was not ready for that game. So, this is really like the barometer for where they're headed this year.
Drones is fun, right? I think it's important to remember that Virginia Tech has a quarterback who can run, and I don't think you've faced particularly mobile quarterbacks yet. Now, you got the defense. Miami's defense is really substantial. Like, they're not to be trifled with this year. Cam Ward is impressive. I've been almost equally as impressed with Miami's defense. Yeah. They're freaking good. 19 feels like a lot, but if I had to play a side, I'd probably lay it with Miami. And I think Cristobal's got an axe to grind. There will be some kind of slippery spot coming up, but I don't think this is it.
Yeah, that's fair. I could look really stupid this time Saturday or Friday even.
I feel like you'll be okay with that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to lose this bet. So.
Yeah, the numbers I see have it like a 13. Yeah, the numbers look right. So those are the big games that I can tell. You guys have any other games you want to talk about? There's a whole list of good games, but Those are the ones that jump out to me as far as, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do this. Shador Sanders. Let's make sure I do that. Coach Prime.
Pram tam.
Thank you, SEO. Let's go into the best bets segment here. Al, what's your best bet?
Yeah, so I am going to take Boise State minus 7.5. They are at home against Washington State. Looks like Andy's on the other side of that as I'm looking at it now, but sorry to give that one away. But yeah, I had a few games here I was considering, but I just think Boise State's legit. I think they're really good.
Yeah, and
Nice.
Washington State's been playing okay. They've been playing pretty nice as far as like a Pac-12. They're really holding down the conference. That's important. They're the glue to the whole conference is Washington State because Oregon State's not holding. There's the end of the bargain up when it comes to Pac-12 championships. Andy, I'm just going to let you go on this one, and then I'll say yeah.
I was going to do that for you. I think we're both on the same one here. New Mexico State plus 10. Neither of the New Mexicos are world beaters. But when you get two bad teams playing each other, 10 points is too many, right? This could go in any direction. This might come back up again when we get to the money line.
Sure.
Yeah, I like New Mexico State a lot. That's my best bet.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I like Bronco. I like what he's doing. They've been showing they've been a plucky bunch. 10 points is way too many. I could see New Mexico State winning this game. So I'm going to follow in there in New Mexico State plus 10 for sure. I want to do one new segment, Confusing Line of the Week. We've talked about some confusing lines already, but for your confusing line of the week, Baylor who lost to Colorado in shocking fashion, important to know, on the road to Colorado, is going to BYU, who kicked the shit out of Kansas State.
Among others.
I want to make sure I have that direction before I say anything else. Because
I think it's the other way around.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better about the numbers.
BYU's going to Baylor.
BYU kicked the shit out of Kansas State. They're going to Baylor. Baylor lost to Colorado. Baylor hasn't. Okay, they're playing okay, right? But they're not playing great. Dave Aranda's on the hot seat. I expect him to be fired within the year unless he has like a 9-win season. How can Baylor be a 3-point favorite? How? I kind of feel like I have to bet Baylor because someone else knows something here that I do not. Because this line stinks out loud. That's your confusing line of the week. If you guys have anything else to give there, great. If not,
yeah, Baylor's 2-2, but their 2 wins have come against Tarleton State and Air Force.
Tarleton's my favorite state, by the way.
Exactly. So not exactly quality wins. Now they are 2-0 at home and 0-2 on the road. So maybe that's it. Maybe people expect them to play a lot better at home. But yeah, I agree that this line doesn't make any sense for a team that's only beat Tarleton State.
Yeah.
They hate the military. They beat
certainly fishy. Certainly fishy.
They do hate the military.
So I'm going to just say it right now. I'm going to bet Baylor -3 because someone has to know something where this number is set that way because it doesn't make any sense. BYU should be the prohibitive favorite. Okay, that's your confusing line of the week. Let's go into the money lines. Boys, you guys absolutely crushed it last week. 5-0 on your money line bets. I think that's exceptional. I'm going to shut up and let you guys have the floor. Al, who do you like?
Yeah, so I actually think a couple weeks ago we went like 5-1 on the money line dogs too. So
did
these are not bets you're supposed to be hitting at any kind of anything close to this kind of rate. So buyer beware. But you know, 2 weeks does not make a trend, but we definitely seem to have an eye for some opportunity here. So I've got a handful of dogs this week that I like. That includes Oklahoma State, who's getting 6.5. So money line, I don't know what that equates to, 230 maybe. Buffalo, I think they're getting 4.5 points or something like that, or maybe 7. I don't know. That's another juicy one. Louisville, They're getting 6 points, so that's another money line. So these are some juicy ones. And then Fresno State, I think, is getting 3 or 3.5, and Bama getting 2.5, I think, or 2. So a smaller dog there. But OK State, Buffalo, Louisville, Fresno State, and Bama are the ones I like.
Like them.
Nice. I'm going with the Apple Pickers bundle. The Washington State combo. Washington is particularly fun because it's on Friday night. It kicks off half an hour later than Virginia Tech Miami. So right around the time Virginia Tech Miami wraps up, you flip it on over to Washington and see if your money line can pull it out.
I
like Washington. What's up?
Just the idea of going from Seattle to Piscataway in conference is the stupidest. That's all. I didn't know who Washington was playing.
Yeah, it's Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
And Rutgers just had an upset win that we called last week, so they're due to bow out on this one.
Exactly.
Sorry. I didn't mean to ruin the vibes. It was just
very good. I thought you were laughing at pulling out.
Yeah.
No, I am laughing.
So then I've got Washington State. I think they can win. And then we already talked about New Mexico State in the battle for New Mexico. I don't know. Does that game have a name? It should. If it doesn't. If you've made it this far in the podcast, leave a comment below if you have a name for the New Mexico State.
Oh, I got it. It's the Rio Grande rivalry.
It needs some workshopping.
Yeah, let us know if you have a better one.
It's too
like for I-25. Like Battle for I-25 a lot better than the Rio Grande.
I was trying to think if I could do like a Remember the Alamo, but like that's obviously not New Mexico, but like
hundreds of miles to the east.
And also I would have to come up with something to actually connect it to those states. How about like salsa verde, salsa roja, kind of like enchilada sauce deal. The big enchilada.
It's the enchilada bowl.
I love the enchilada. The big enchilada is what it should be for.
The big enchilada. Right. There it is.
That's it.
For the big enchilada.
Yes.
I'm rooting with you. I like New Mexico State as well. A couple fun things I want to talk about that are coming up this weekend, and maybe it's just this one. So Mack Brown has had an illustrious career as a head coach at Texas, as a head coach in other places as well. He used to have a young defensive coordinator named Manny Diaz under him. He fired Manny Diaz in like kind of an over-the-top fashion when things weren't going well. He's like, I love football. And it really wasn't Manny Diaz's fault. We talked on the previous podcast that Mack Brown has been he's not performing to the standard that you would expect.
Yeah, I would say he's performing about as well as Joe Biden.
Okay.
Kind of like maybe a little out of his depth at this point, at this age.
Look, Mack Brown's not a football powerhouse by any means. He's at North Carolina, but they've had some really great players at North Carolina, especially at the most important position. And you just like trip on your own dick consistently, right? So Manny Diaz did not take kindly to the firing, and he's kind of made it abundantly clear. In the last game North Carolina played Miami, they had the most awkward handshake I have ever seen. And Manny Diaz and Mack Brown, I both believe, are Florida State Seminoles, which makes it more interesting because they're both from the same school. You think like a tie that binds? Nah. They fucking hate each other, and especially Manny Diaz going against Mack Brown. So, Manny Diaz is the head coach of Duke. Mack Brown's the head coach of North Carolina. Do you guys know, do they like each other? Do those two colleges appreciate each other's company or no? No, right? They already hate each other. They got two coaches that hate each other. I'm guessing there will not be a pregame handshake. North Carolina should be a favorite. Duke is the favorite after that embarrassing setup. So this could be a really juicy matchup. I'm going to be focused in on the pregame. Just want to see if they are if they put this all past him, because I don't think Manny Diaz has put shit past him. He seems like a lovely human being. He does not.
Listen, dude, short dudes never the chip stays on the shoulder forever. Like,
well, it's
Tim
a perfect
confirms.
place for me to pick up the chip when I'm hungry, you know?
yeah. So Manny Diaz, that he will. He's out for blood every week, no matter what.
Speaking of Mac Brown, this is a little bit off subject, but with Jim Harbaugh leaving to go to the NFL and Saban retiring, did you know that there are only 3 active college football coaches who have won a national championship, and Mac Brown is one of them?
I'm trying to think who the other
Isn't that
two
crazy?
might be.
Well, it is Georgia.
Chip Kelly?
Yeah, Georgia. And Chip Kelly's not a head coach right now.
No, okay. Yeah, Kirby.
It's not Jimbo.
They
Norville.
played one of the other teams in week 1.
Played. What do you mean?
What does
Oh,
that mean?
2 of these coaches played against each other in week 1.
Who did Mac
Georgia
Brown?
played Clemson. Oh, Dabo.
Yeah,
Dabo. Yeah.
Kirby Smart, Dabo, and Mac Brown. It's just that was like mind blowing to me. Like you'd think that there'd be dozens of them, but I guess Nick has won so many that when he retired, there just aren't that many left.
Well, to be fair, it's been like the same 4 teams in the playoffs. It's been Ohio State who can't get it done. It's been Michigan had like an outlier year. It's been Clemson, Georgia, Alabama. That combination of teams over and over again, which I'm excited about the 12-team playoff. I don't know if it'll mean anything different than the same 4 teams ending up there at the end, but
it might actually make it even less likely for somebody else to sneak in there.
Probably, right? Because the cream will rise to the top once you get warm. Sark has a good chance. I like Sark's chance this year.
I think
Ryan Day's got a good damn chance too. Finally.
Yeah. I think I hate that the top 4 teams get a bye.
Yeah.
I think it should be 8 teams and everyone plays, or it should be 16 and everyone plays. No buys. You gotta play your way through.
I love the home game scenario, right? And I think that makes it super fun, especially for a lot of these smaller cities. University of Miami is different, but a lot of these small cities, like I know anecdotally that Tallahassee relies on people coming to the games, and like the local economy does really well when Florida State does well. So having an additional game in there where you can charge $500 a night to stay at the Holiday Inn is really good for everybody, right? Rising Tides. Miami's a totally different scale. They don't give a shit if people come into the game or not, right? It doesn't affect the city. So I think it's fun from that aspect. But yeah, if you're saying that there's a 16-game playoff, it just seems very convoluted at that point. And we're going to still have 30 points.
Yeah, I guess really my point is just that I don't think these teams that are the top 4 teams in the country that are always going to be Big Ten and SEC schools that are always going to be the real title contenders should get a bye. I think they should have to play 2 or 3 games anyway.
4 conference winners get a bye. 4 conference winners get a bye. Right. So that doesn't mean it's not going to be Big Ten. Miami has a good chance to get a bye.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like that. It's not like it's just Big Ten and SEC.
No, but they're always going to be in that.
Yeah. The winner of those 2 leagues will.
And then also they're also going to be in all the teams that do have to play. So it's going to end up being all SEC, all Big Ten, Final 4, Final 8. It makes it that much harder for the smaller schools to advance versus them having to actually line up and play somebody.
Agreed. I hate that. I do hate that.
No guarantee that I'll feel this way next week, but I personally think it should be a 19-team playoff.
Yeah.
Is that because
don't forget about number 19? Okay. He's really key. Watch you win, and then you're like top 12. You're like, oh, fuck the other schools.
Well, speaking of which, I was reading before the season started that a lot of these schools that are going to be hosting a playoff game are like in these tiny little towns that are not prepared for a college football playoff game. And so the committee was like reaching out to schools that they thought might be in that situation before the season to be like, how are we going to get more rooms? How are we going to handle all the like infrastructure and stuff? If we beat Penn State this week, they're going to have to call Illinois and be like, how many hotel rooms do you have? Because there's no way we were on that list before the season.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who is actually on that list? Because everyone in the playoffs is already a big school.
Yeah,
but the top group of 5 winner.
Yeah, like I said, it's still
Boise.
You're not ready for a playoff environment, right? And a road game, traditionally, not a lot of people travel. But say, I'm just going to use the Florida State example. If Alabama has to play Florida State for a playoff game, that shit is going to be bumping. And I'm not joking when the Holiday Inn is $500 when we play USF. It's going to be astronomical. And
$3,000 a night.
So many options, right?
So
People are going to be staying in Panama City and driving for the game. So
they're gonna have to use real eggs for the breakfast buffet. They're charging those rates.
Yeah, they won't.
Powdered egg for you.
The powdered eggs in a carton. Right in there. That's all I got, boys. You guys got anything else?
Let's wrap it up.
I like it.
All right. Please go to singlelegparlay.com. Subscribe. We're going to give you our best bets. We've been on an absolute heater, 63% last week, absolutely crushing it. And if not, you can always make fun of us and in the comments and tell us we suck. We appreciate any feedback we get. Follow us on TikTok. Go to Andy's feed on Single Leg Parlay. He's been absolutely killing it. And let's have a good weekend. What do you say, boys? Let's win some money.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Money line round robin. Let's do it.
Yeah, don't forget this time. Cheers, boys. Thanks for listening to the newly rebranded Single Leg Parlay podcast. Visit our website at www.singlelegparlay.com, where you can read more of our thoughts, as well as subscribing to our newsletter to have our picks delivered straight to your inbox each week. And don't forget to follow Single Leg Parlay on all of your favorite social media platforms. Cheers!